What's with your boy Vaughn? Another reaction. Today's video we have Let's Be Real About Marcus Rashford by Ped Talks Football. Make sure to comment, subscribe. Let's get into it.
Marcus Rashford, what a loan spell you had for Barcelona.
I forget this is a loan spell, so you're going back to Man United.
Rashford's kick finds the back of the net. It's another Champions League goal. But to concede possession in that sort of area to a man like Rashford in the form that he's in, it's absolutely
He had some good games. That's a hell of a goal. God damn.
sensational.
That's a crazy
Rashford at his brilliant best. Here's Rashford, brilliant control and a lovely finish for number 6. 2 goals.
Marcus Rashford is a very polarizing player. Whenever you have a discussion about him, there's a lot of different opinions, and both sides feel very strongly. It can be about anything. It can be about his time at Barcelona, his Manchester United legacy. Whatever you talk about, there's a clear divide into the way that people feel about him. And ever since his loan spell at Barcelona, the divide has been between Rashford FC fans, who are guys who I'm assuming support Manchester United but tune into Barcelona games to follow Rashford, and then you have the other side, which is actual Barcelona fans. Now, depending on which group you ask, they will have a very different opinion on how Rashford's loan stint at Barcelona went. So let me first start with the positives. Marcus Rashford won a trophy in Spain before Kylian Mbappe. In fact, Rashford has 2 titles in Spain, while the dictator has a whopping...
Oh yeah, because them niggas won the La Liga. The season over, bro. Yeah, that fucking title is long gone.
It just makes it hilarious because I think back to that picture of Rashford touching Mbappe's lovely bald head after Manchester United knocked out PSG. And if I told you back then that Rashford would be at Barcelona and he would win titles in Spain before Mbappe, you would have laughed in my face. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Rashford had some great goals and assists throughout the whole season. He had 13 goals and 10 assists in all competitions. He was averaging a goal or assist nearly every 91 minutes. In La Liga, he had 6 goals and 8 assists. In the Champions League, he had 5 goals. He actually did very well in the group stage. That's where the majority of his numbers came from in that competition, and he just dominated there. He even scored against PSG in a match that Barcelona lost. The other great thing about Rashford was he had excellent set-piece delivery. Basically, ever since Messi left, Barca had nobody that could take good set pieces. I'm not talking about just scoring directly from free kicks. I'm talking about corners, indirect free kicks. Rafinha was pretty good at it, but
y'all think that should Barca buy the nigga? Like, should they buy the nigga? You know what I'm saying?
I actually think Rashford did an excellent job with those inward swinging right-footed corners. Rashford also offered a lot of pace and power in a Barca side that clearly lacked it, especially
pace and power.
Again, in the Champions League, you really saw it. He used his athleticism to get the better of some of these teams, and because teams in the Champions League actually try and play football and there's more space, Rashford flourished more, as opposed to La Liga, where every single weekend you're playing against a hat-on blow block, you're playing against the opposition putting 11 guys, plus their manager, plus their set-piece coach, plus the water boy, plus the fans, everybody behind the ball, and just praying that they don't concede to Barca. It's ugly, nobody wants to watch it, and that's why La Liga viewership has dropped. Now, when it comes to Rashford, you have to judge him off of the correct lens. This isn't the same Marcus Rashford as 3 or 4 years ago. He used to be very special. In fact, when he was rising through the ranks, many people put him on the same tier as the likes of Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele when it came to the ceiling of him, his potential, his talent. And again, maybe you could say that was English tax, that was Manchester United doing their typical thing where they overrate their players. But Rashford really was seen as a special player. From his magical debut for United to some of the incredible performances he had over the years, like how good he was in the 2022-2023 season with Ten Hag, you could see that the kid, and he's now a grown-ass man, was very good. But when he came to Barca, everybody knew they weren't getting that same Rashford. This was a Marcus Rashford that had been ostracized from his boyhood club by Ruben Amorim. He had pretty much at that point fallen out with basically every single manager, and Barca were getting him at a discount. In fact, Rashford was begging to...
Who is Man United manager now? I know them niggas third. No, they're gonna be in Champions League. Who is they man? It ain't Ruben Amorim no more. Right? Michael Carriage. Oh yeah, he's the intern manager. Yeah, intern. So who is they gonna get? Cause bro, there's not a lot of man. Like who the fuck gonna be their manager?
to come to Barca to get an opportunity to showcase his abilities. So he came in as a rotational option. I think a lot of people forget this. He didn't come in as a superstar or a big name in terms of changing Barcelona's season. He came in to be the backup to Rafinha. He came in to be a rotational player in the attack to give Barca quality, but more importantly, depth. And he did that job. He played on the left as the backup to Rafinha. He played up front as the backup to Lewandowski. He even played during a period on the right when Lamine Yamal was injured. So he came in as a backup / rotational option, and then he was thrown into the fire because Rafinha got injured. Because Rafinha was hurt for multiple times throughout the season, Rashford was given more responsibility than he had signed up for. Again, he was brought in as a player to be able to rotate in against mid-table La Liga teams, Copa del Rey matches, irrelevant Champions League games, but suddenly he was playing big matches and big minutes in them. So I don't think he should be judged unfairly or criticized for not doing what Rafinha was supposed to do, because that was never Rashford's role. And later in the video, when I offer the criticism around him, I'm looking at it from that lens. Anyways, he did his role. He had a good loan spell, especially when you consider how many people didn't even want him in the summer. He played a pivotal role in Barcelona winning La Liga. And don't let these Real Madrid fans gaslight you into thinking that the league doesn't matter. They've been doing that for years because their team
we a Champions League team, bro. Champions League better, bro. We show up in the biggest competition.
just cannot perform at all in any sort of league format. It's no surprise that ever since the Champions League went into a league format, these guys have been struggling. Don't let them gaslight you. When Mbappe joined their club, everybody said that they were the new Galacticos, that Barca wouldn't even sniff a title, let alone La Liga. And now, because their team has fallen apart because of Vinny and the dictator Mbappe and other numerous factors, the Madrid fans
These niggas really want Mbappe. I don't like the Mbappe slander. Like, bro, I'm telling you, the nigga gonna dominate in this next coming World Cup. He's missed the World Cup for sure. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, club. He got 40 GA. He got 40, but I don't know. Just the chemistry between him and Vinny, it ain't that. Give us some time, bro. You know what I'm saying? When this shit finally start clicking, bro, they gonna be a problem. And if they do sell this nigga, where the fuck they gonna go? Where he gonna go? What team can afford Mbappe's wages? Where is he gonna go? Man City? I don't know about Bayern Munich. I don't know. Where's this thing gonna go?
have tried to run this underdog gimmick. They are not underdogs. They added arguably the best player in the world to a team that had just won the double, and now they've gone trophyless in back-to-back seasons to a bunch of rejects.
Look at Mbappe in it.
To a team that had just won the double, and now they've
Hey, Mbappe face fry me. Vinny face funny as hell too. Vinny like a damn turtle.
gone trophyless in back-to-back seasons to a bunch of rejects and young kids. I say rejects because Marcus Rashford was seen as a United reject before he signed for Barcelona. So don't let them gaslight you. Winning La Liga is a massive achievement, and Rashford played an important part in Barca clinching that title. Rashford performed in all three competitions for Barca. He did very well in Copa del Rey. He got a ton of goals and assists in the Champions League, and he did his thing in La Liga. I mean, let's look at some of his best performances. He absolutely dunked his nuts on Newcastle in the first time that Barca and Newcastle met in the Champions League. It was a tough away game. Barca weren't creating that much or playing that well, and he popped up with two fantastic goals. The long shot being an unbelievable.
Yeah, what it sound like to me, bro? It sound like Barca should buy this nigga, in my opinion. That's what it sound like to me. And keep him in that same position. Let him be a backup to Rafinha. You know, Rafinha injury prone as hell. He gonna get injured, and you know what I'm saying?
Unbelievable goal. Shades of CR7, that strike, honestly. Then he scored in the 2-1 win away against Atletico Madrid. Again, a very important game when it came to the La Liga title race. And of course, he had that stunning strike against Espanyol. As I stated earlier, he actually became the first Barca player to score in all three different competitions. He got 2 assists versus Celta Vigo. He had 2 goals and 1 assist versus Olympiacos in the initial group stage. So he did very well. He got a lot of goals and assists. He stepped up when needed. But here's the thing, guys. Stats without context are meaningless. A lot of Rashford fans will try and tell you that because of his goals and assists, because of his stats, it should be a no-brainer for Barca to sign him to a longer-term deal. But everybody that has actually watched him play weekly will tell you that his flaws are as clear as day. In fact, Barca fans
I get what you did. You made him look nice by talking about his stats and shit. Yeah, because I never really watched the full. I don't watch full Barca games. I never watched them full at Barcelona.
are the worst people to try and gaslight using stats. These guys actually watch matches. If they only went based off of goals and assists, they would push for Ferran Torres as a Ballon d'Or winner. Because if you only look at that guy's stats, you'll be like, why is this guy getting clowned weekly? Well, that's because Barca fans actually watch football. Imagine if Manchester United had a player like Fermin Lopez, for example. By the way, Fermin Lopez is a fantastic player. I'm not trying to slander him. I'm just saying if you took his stats and his play style and you put him in a Premier League team, I promise you that Premier League team, whoever it is, whether it's Manchester United, Chelsea, whoever it is, they would have been pushing for Fermin Lopez as a Ballon d'Or candidate. But no Barca fan did that because they appreciated the talent that he has and the quality that he brought, but it was obvious that he's not the best player for Barcelona. The first issue with Marcus Rashford is his lack of pressing. Firstly, it looks awful off the eye test. There were times where he would come on as a sub and he would run less than the guys that had been playing before him. That is unacceptable. That has nothing to do with tactics or the opposition. That's just grit and having that dog in you. And Marcus Rashford, sadly, has no dog in him. Sometimes he plays with intensity, but he really picks and chooses his moments. He's not like a Gavi or a Fermin Lopez or a Rafinha when it comes to that intensity. He doesn't bleed for the badge. And maybe it's unfair for me to compare him to two guys who are from La Masia. Obviously, the academy guys are always going to play with passion. But even when Rashford was at Manchester United, his boyhood club, his lack of intensity and pressing was one of the biggest criticisms that he received. He's just too nonchalant sometimes, very lazy. And that's a non-negotiable. You cannot afford to have those sort of lapses in judgment when it comes to pressing. And then there's times
Rashford, your head shit crazy, bro. Like your mom had you laying on your head too much as a baby. Like when your kid head is growing weird, you gotta get the helmet, y'all. Gotta get the helmet.
where he will press, but he's just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He's not pressing with the team, and when he's pressing, he's not cutting off angles with his body shape. He's not doing it the right way. Now, part of that could be that his footballing IQ was never developed at Manchester United because those guys are so behind when it comes to actually developing their players. So maybe a part of it is that, but his intensity and
By the way, I love them button like the button up like jerseys with the collar. Those hard as fuck. Yeah, they need to do more of those.
lack of work rate have been a criticism throughout his entire career. And considering how old he is now, you can't really teach an old dog new tricks. So Barca fans should not be surprised that he's not pressing the way they want him to. Now there's actually stats to back up the lack of work rate too. It's not just off the eye test. He was in the 9th percentile for pressures per 90. He remained a defensive outlier in a very high intensity system. Because again, I've talked about this on the channel before. The issue with Flick's Barca is not the high line. It's the lack of pressing. If the midfielders and the attackers don't press, that gives the opposition too much time on the ball, which allows them to pick up the perfect pass over the high line. If you press properly, the high line will help you suffocate the opposition and you will actually get back the ball more efficiently. Then the other issue with Rashford, a big one, is wasted chances. His goals and assists should have been way higher if he was actually able to consistently put the ball in the back of the net. In a match against Mallorca, he had 8 shots with only 1 on target. And we've seen it time and time again. 1v1 opportunities, high scoring opportunities. Rashford will miss it.
Yeah, he kind of in the same category with Makayo Mudriks, the Garnachos. Like niggas can't score. Like they could get past a defender, and sometimes they have like scoring problems. You know what I'm saying? Like that Barcola shit. Like Barcola getting better with his finishing. Yeah, they finishing not that good. You know what I'm saying?
Or he will take too long to take the shot. Whatever the reason might be, whatever happens at that moment, he has wasted a lot of opportunities. The other issue is his positional discipline. I talked about it briefly when I was talking about his pressing, but his footballing IQ, respectfully, it's not at the level that you require for a Barcelona player.
Yeah.
Remember, a lot of Barcelona players come from La Masia, and from there, as a kid, you are taught how to play, where to position yourself, how to play that Barca system. Rashford not only has not learned the Barcelona system, but nobody has worked with him on his positioning and footballing IQ in the past 5 years. I mean, it's hard to do that when your manager is being tossed around more than Bonnie Blue. So you can't fully blame Rashford because United has been a toxic environment. But
and look, them button-up shirts, that be all.
At the same time, he's well behind in his development of knowing where to be, where to go, when to press, when to hold off, when to make a run, when to hold that run. And in La Liga, when you're playing against these low blocks, where you need to find space in between the lines and be good in tight spaces, Rashford's not there. He's great with his pace and power when he's running in large spaces. He's a great carrier of the ball. But often, if you're asking him to dribble in tight areas, it looks like he's flicking the right stick on FIFA. If you guys have played FIFA, you know what I'm talking about. That's the move to take a big touch. Rashford sometimes looks like he's dribbling like that by default. He just puts the ball so far ahead of himself, and you can't do.
Yeah.
that in La Liga. You will lose the ball very easily. It's a very technical league. Then you have his physicality. While, in my opinion, he offers a lot of pace and power to a Barca team that needs it, he loses a lot of ground duels. I saw a stat where he only wins 40% of them, which is quite low compared to teammates like Rafinha. These weaknesses that I'm telling you about are not small things. Like, people keep pointing to the stats, but if you watch the games, it's clear why Flick trusted Joao Cancelo and even Fermin Lopez on the left over Marcus Rashford. He's a good player. He had a good loan spell, but he doesn't fix a lot of the biggest problems on this Barca team. His numbers come from playing in a very attacking system. This Barca Hansi Flick setup is excellent for attackers. It's like steroids. Anybody on this Barca team gets a lot of them. Even Ferran Torres, Uncle Lewandowski, heck, even I could play on the left wing and get some. So the numbers you're seeing from Rashford, it's not because he's some irreplaceable player. You put anybody half decent into that Barca team, playing off of Pedri, playing off of Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, they're gonna get goal contributions. So it's great that he got those stats. Again, he was so helpful to Barca winning another title. But the lack of pressing, the lack of consistency in front of goal, the poor positional discipline, these are tough weaknesses, especially for a player who wants his wages. And these weaknesses are a huge point of problem for a Barca team that relies on pressing, that relies on high-intensity football. Barca need players who can contribute in attack, yes. Rashford's goals and assists will always help. But they also need players that can contribute defensively. When Rafinha is out, they need a player that can match that energy. They don't need necessarily somebody that matches that same level of output.
Is Barca still in financial troubles? Because who do they get in the transfer window? Who do they get? Like, they still dealing with this financial shit, bro.
And technical quality. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Flick plays Ferran Torres on the left a bunch. It's not because he thinks Ferran Torres is the most skillful guy or he can replicate Rafinha's qualities. It's because he has an unlimited work rate. That intensity is way...
At this point, these niggas Barca just relying on fucking La Masia kids, just pulling kids from the academy and seeing, oh, can he be good for us instead of buying niggas.
More important than how good you are on the ball. If Flick fully trusted Rashford, he would have started him more. Again, everybody brings up the stats. If that was true, Flick would look at them, he watches the games, and he'd be like, okay, Rashford, you deserve more playing time. But every time he gave Rashford an opportunity to play more, he just didn't reward Flick by playing with the level of intensity that is required for a Barcelona starter. And again, it's not just with Flick. You've seen this with Rashford's history with all different kinds of managers. There's always a falling out. There's always a lack of trust from the manager with Rashford because he's clearly not replicating the intensity and quality off the ball.
Oh my! I forgot that nigga. He had a loan to Aston Villa, right? Like,
that those guys need. And keep in mind, this is probably the very best version of Rashford Barca fans are ever going to see. This was a Rashford that had a chip on his shoulder based off how he was kicked out of the club. One that was hungry for a new contract. If Barca give him a fat new contract, even if it's on lower wages, who knows if he will continue working hard. I mean, he was fighting for a contract now, and as I told you, there were times where he was running less than the starters despite having fresh legs. And these things, they're non-negotiable, and you can't coach them into a player. You cannot coach somebody to have as much desire and intensity as a Gavi, as a Fermin Lopez, as a Rafinha. You either have it or you don't. If they can get Rashford on lower wages, maybe he might be worth it. As a rotational option, somebody that can kind of come in and have a magical moment here and there. Because remember, the biggest issue with him at United was his inconsistency. At Barca, they didn't really need him to be that consistent. There are other players who will step up in the big moments. So it's really up to Barca. I mean, what do I know about recruiting players and getting them? All I know is that there's a big difference between Rashford's stats and the qualities that we actually see from him on the pitch. Now, the good thing for Rashford is that he was a part of a Barcelona team that were very strong. And that was because of Hansi Flick. To see how that man, that crazy German man, transformed this Barcelona team from a joke to the best team in Spain 2 years in a row, you have to watch this video right here.
make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll do this.